Hello and welcome to 5-inch Floppy on GameArena.com.au. I'm Junglist. Last year we gave Dark Souls Game of the Year over Portal 2, over Arkham City, over Uncharted 3, over Skyrim. We did it because while those games did what they did very well, Dark Souls pushed into new territory and executed brilliantly. It continues to be one of those games that everyone talks about, but many are reluctant to get into because of its reputation for being one of the most hardcore games in the last decade. Not an inch is given to you in this world. Every step you take is a step you've earned. PC gamers, specifically website Rock Paper Shotgun, weren't happy with the most hardcore game being on a console, so they started a petition to bring it to PC. And they've actually done it, with new content, in one of the cooler cases of developers engaging with fans in jolly cooperation. It's that new content that we're reviewing this week. Console gamers will have to wait a couple more months for it to arrive as DLC. A word of warning, there are spoilers ahead, but we won't talk about anything that isn't already in trailers. It's time to revisit 5-inch Floppy's Game of the Year. If you haven't played a Souls game before, this is a world where souls are both sources of power and tangible currency. There's very little comfort in this world other than the bonfires scattered throughout, which act as bittersweet checkpoints, replenishing your health, but also respawning the entire world. As for how it feels to play, it's like being taken up a year in school. You're not going to get away with all that crap you were doing before, because your new teacher is all about tough love. It still wants you to pass the class, but it's going to make sure you come out better than you went in. First though, let's get technical. Dark Souls on PC runs through Games for Windows Live, Microsoft's awful, useless DRM. But while we've had major problems with Live before, to the point of games just not working, this time we had no problems with it. It went okay. So with that out of the way, your frames per second will be capped at 30. It won't go higher, but it will go lower. There are less frame rate drops than on the console version. Even in Blighttown, the notoriously bad area for frame rates, we pretty much had just a steady 30, which is great. Another big deal is that a bug that was in the console version that would delay potion swigs or attacks is gone in the PC version. A bug that happens right when you want to take a swig of a potion is kind of by definition a bug that happens when you least want it to. And it was really the one thing that would keep us from saying Dark Souls' combat system was perfect. So it's good to see that amidst all the problems bringing it to PC, they fixed this. And finally, you've probably already noticed it doesn't look that great. In an odd decision, they've tried to give everyone the same resolution. Luckily, this is on PC, and PC gamers fix things. Here you can see the pre-fixed version on the left and post-fixed version on the right. There's a very easy couple of files you can download to make the resolution whatever you want, and we'll put those details up on our Facebook page and blog. Now that your Dark Souls looks and plays better than the console version, it's time to find the elusive new stuff. Past the second bell, past Sen's Fortress and the Iron Golem, past the Painting Guardians, past Ornstein and Smough, and past placing the Lord Vessel. What follows is a complex sequence of events where you have to save a maiden in Darkroot Basin, then go all the way across the map to fight a special blue golem in the Duke's Archives, then go all the way back to Darkroot Basin to get fondled by a giant hand with gingivitis. Welcome to Sanctuary. The reason this is so convoluted has to do with the intersecting timelines in the Dark Souls universe, and the story behind it all is delivered with typical uncaring subtlety. There's more stuff going on in this game than an entire series of your average RPG, if you're looking. And if you thought the indoctrination theory in Mass Effect was cool, that's kind of the theories that players are supposed to come up with in the Dark Souls universe. And the new Artorias of the Abyss content will answer many questions about the lost land of Ulasil. Part of this land you've seen already, just in a different time. The PvP forest is now covered in foliage managing the foliage. Yo dog. And giant stone guardians. After which you come upon a city you haven't seen before, populated with melee and magic-wielding versions of the savages from Skull Island. Entrances granted by this sprightly guard dog. The Sanctuary Guardian is a boss and a half, and another half, and another. Its lightning breath is not a good combo with the water you're standing on. His air attack is just narrow enough to avoid with a roll, and the relentless swipes of lion paws and ram horns will do unspeakable things to your stamina bar. A lot can be learned from how the bosses in Dark Souls telegraph their attacks. Usually they'll train you in a certain animation cue before switching to one that looks just similar enough to trick you, yet also make you feel stupid for falling for it. This gets really tricky when they start changing up the timing of their attacks. A few normal ones to get you used to the rhythm, and then a teasing, drawn-out attack with more power that makes you jump the gun on your roll. And we all know what happens when you mistime your roll. The result is that feeling of knowing it's your fault you stuffed up. You know what you have to do, and you want to do it, because you can see the end in sight. Take as an example Lord Sif, the Great Grey Wolf. Not an easy fight, but when you think about it, not that hard, considering Sif will gesture to the right or left, depending on which attack he'll do. It actually kind of makes you feel stupid for getting it wrong. I mean, it's left and right, how hard can it be? Which feeds into the one more try mentality and the desire to best this upstart piece of software that's making you feel like a chump. There are 4 bosses total in the new content, and all of them live up to the quality you'd expect from Dark Souls. But its namesake, Artorias, is the best. This is an intense fight that'll punish you for blocking too much as the attacks just keep on coming. It's one of those where you dodge, block, dodge again, and if you time it all right, you have the privilege of shaving less off his health bar than one stroke of a cheese grater. Defeating Artorias opens that arena for one of the PC version's coolest features. It's a feature they haven't properly announced and no one is talking about, but this arena will actually let you enter proper 1v1, 2v2, and 4-player deathmatch PvP. No phantoms invading other worlds, this is the real deal, with the objective being getting as big a winning streak as you can to end up on the slate of legends. This is unbelievably cool. It's like if you really wanted PvP in Zelda or God of War, or whatever your favorite single-player game is, and the developers just said, okay, have it. Fans have been going to great lengths in the past, using forums to organize makeshift PvP tournaments, and now it's so easy. There are still issues with lag as the game wasn't designed for PvP, but it's still one of the best combat systems out there at the moment, and you're free to bring whatever gear setup you want. Item healing is not allowed, but healing through spells is, which is fair because you have to invest in the stats to be able to do that. Each battle is timed, so a kill is 1 point. The enemy will then respawn and you go at it again. The same amount of points at the end of 3 minutes means a draw. And that brings us to Endgame. PC gamers who aren't acquainted with the Souls franchise, if you're ready to go up a year in school, you'll come to know your new tutor as tough but fair, but you might throw the controller or keyboard a few times in frustration because you won't have your hand held as much as you're used to. We can't recommend the Souls games enough. For those on console, you'll have to wait a little while longer for this new chapter to arrive as DLC. But until then, praise the sun because it's more of everything you love. The beautifully understated story, Japanese horror, imaginative bosses, gritty exploration, and of course, getting nothing until you take it.